All right, this is a recording of how to move the solar cart, and I will put Marilyn behind the camera. You know where the pause button is there. So when we do this, we have to be cognizant of the fact that we have power coming from the grid here via this green cord going in to the solar unit here, and we have power coming out from from this yellow cord going into the off-grid village. So power going into the unit, power going out. We never want to touch this. This yellow cord is going to the backup generator, which is here, and one time it was touched and it led to failure of the backup generator, and it caused a disruption in the software here. So this is never touched. And you can kind of see what not to touch, because you never touch the things that look round. Right? That's a round plug there, a round plug here. We never touch this round plug there. And we do touch that because it's not round. It has a handle to be pulled, as you can see, and it has a frog. So that is meant to be pulled, and this is meant to be pulled, but we don't touch this, which is round. And that's an easy way to keep in mind what gets touched and what doesn't get touched. All right. So I generally do the pulling from here. This is where we will pull this when we get ready to remove it, but the first thing we have to do is turn off the circuit breakers before we do any pulling. First circuit breaker to turn off is this circuit breaker. That means no power now is going.
I can't see because of this.
Sorry, this one here. So I just turned that off. This is a circuit breaker for this outlet, 110 volts, which is going to keep the backup generator battery charged, so that stays on with that little green light there. But I just turned this one off, so there's no power going to the grid there. That means I can now pull this out. Okay, now this is what would carry the power to the grid, and we're going to to the off-grid village, and we're going to now pull this and replace it with this, so that the power coming from the grid actually goes to the off-grid village, so there's still power there when we no longer have this cart. So we don't want to touch that, but now I will pull this out, and that means there's no more power from the grid going here. Now look at this. Those are electric ants. They cause short circuits. They are an invasive species from Central America that when the rainforests were destroyed, started moving out because they no longer had the right ecology to prevent population explosions. They travel on people's shoes and in people's luggage, and they're invasive here in Florida and Hawaii, and they have a really powerful sting. One of them can make you uncomfortable for 15-20 minutes, and when you get stung with a whole bunch of them, you are in pain, and I've had to go and get lidocaine and spray myself. So they're not fun, and they're called little fire ants or electric ants, and you see how they just love electric terminals for some reason. So they're a bit of a problem. Anyway, they're gone now. Now that that has been capped, there was I'm going to put this onto this to cover it. I usually keep this inside here like that, but I'm going to put this on here to prevent corrosion. All right, and then this gets wrapped up. And we will put this back in here. Let's make sure that that is there, but this is not damaged in any way. This can be put up here. All right, so now this cart is no longer connected to the grid, so the grid is going to give its energy here, and now we're back on there. All right, so now this has power from the grid. Normally this is connected to the grid so that the grid can take energy from the battery and the solar panels when there's nobody home and nobody's using electricity there. This sends energy to the grid. If the off-grid village is using more power than the solar panels can produce, then it takes from the grid. This is a hybrid system. So now it is completely isolated and this loop has been closed. So this is as if everything was normally on the grid now. You see what I mean? So this would have been grid going to here, then this giving energy to the grid or taking energy from the grid as needed, and then sending it there. Now that is isolated. This is isolated. There's nothing in the way there. Let me put this here for a moment. And we're ready to move this cart. All we have to do to move the cart is to hook this up, because I can't pull this. And normally this is a solar golf cart that was pulling this, but the batteries in the solar golf cart are old lead acid batteries, and they need to be replaced with lithium ion that are very light and powerful, and we haven't done that because it costs several $1,000s. So if you'd like to help Rosebud, please donate 36-volt lithium iron phosphate battery system for golf carts, or donate the money. It costs, I think, about $3,000 for the batteries, and we very much appreciate it, and then we could continue to do our solar powered hay rides. So that's that. The only other thing to note is that this is here as a backup, and generally we like to see if we can get this thing started, and it looks like it's not starting. Why is that? Yeah, so Houston, we have a problem here. So backup is not starting. It seems like the battery did not survive probably power outages when the hurricane was there, because we're not able to get that going. So that's got to be looked at. But be that as it may, we know looking over here that the cart has a full charge. When we open this up and we tap on this screen, and we can see now the yellow means we're not connected to the grid here. It is still charging the battery, although it's a cloudy day. You can say the battery's at 90%, and it looks like it's charging it with 330 watts, and it's pulling 350 watts from the sun. So the sun is sending 350 watts, that's 0.35 kilowatts. There's no longer any connection with the grid. There's nothing going out because there's no load, because we're disconnected from the solar village, so that's 0. But it is charging the battery, which is at 90%. So everything looks good. All right? Hope that explanation helps. Well. Yeah. All right. That's that. Thanks.